Captain Alex Harper stood on the observation deck of the human starship Endeavour, staring at the swirling violet and green clouds of the planet below. The alien world was unlike anything he had ever seen. Gigantic crystal towers jutted from the surface like the spires of some enormous cathedral, and glowing rivers snaked through vast forests of silver-leaved trees. Legends spoke of a queen who ruled this planet, a being of immense intelligence, strength, and beauty. Entire civilizations feared her. Every alien envoy, no matter how brave, had been careful to maintain distance. No one dared lay a hand on her. Alex, however, felt no fear. His mission was clear: negotiate peace and form an alliance. But even more than duty, curiosity stirred within him. He wanted to understand her, to see her as more than a myth whispered across galaxies. As the Endeavour descended through the clouds, Alex reviewed his notes. The alien queen, known as Queen Lyra, had ruled for centuries. She was a strategist, a warrior, and a diplomat, but also ruthless in protecting her people and her realm. To many, she was untouchable. To Alex, she was a challenge, and perhaps if he could prove himself an ally. The landing was smooth. The ship settled on a platform carved from crystal, shimmering under the strange sunlight. The air was thin but breathable, carrying a faint scent of minerals and something floral. Alex adjusted his uniform and stepped out, his boots making soft clinks on the platform. Around him, alien guards, tall, multi-limbed beings with shimmering skin, watched silently. They made no move to block him, but their stares were sharp, calculating. A few minutes later, the doors to the palace opened. Alex stepped inside and was immediately struck by the sheer scale of the interior. Towers of polished crystal rose to impossible heights. Light refracted through the walls in dancing rainbows. Courtyards floated above chasms, connected by bridges that seemed to hang in midair, and in the center of it all, atop a throne carved from black crystal that absorbed the light around it, sat Queen Lyra. She was magnificent. Her skin glowed faintly with a silver sheen. Her eyes were large and luminous, a deep violet that seemed to pierce into Alex's very thoughts. Her presence filled the hall, radiating authority and power. The guards behind her stood as still as statues, yet Alex could sense the energy humming in the air, a tension that warned everyone present not to make a wrong move. Most envoys would have hesitated. Most would bow, kneel, or speak in carefully measured tones. Not Alex. He approached with calm confidence. His hands were empty. His steps were steady. He stopped a respectful distance from the throne and inclined his head slightly. "Queen Lyra," he said, his voice even but firm. "I am Captain Alex Harper, representing the United Earth Alliance. I have come to speak with you and your council about peace." The Queen's eyes narrowed, studying him. There was a moment of silence so heavy it felt like the air itself had thickened. Then a single, almost musical voice spoke. "You are bold, human," she said. "Bold to step forward when all others shrink. Bold to speak without trembling. Bold to stand in my presence." Alex held her gaze. "I have learned that fear does not win wars, nor does it create lasting alliances. I come here not as a subject nor as a threat, but as someone willing to listen and to understand." A ripple ran through the court. Aliens whispered among themselves. Many had assumed humans were fragile, weak, or naive. Here stood one who faced their queen without hesitation, and did so with intelligence and composure. Lyra leaned forward slightly. "You do not fear me?" she asked almost incredulously. "None have ever spoken to me this way. They bow, they flatter, they lie to survive. Why are you different?" Alex smiled faintly. "Because fear blinds the mind and flattery poisons the heart. I prefer to see clearly and speak honestly." The Queen's gaze lingered on him. She sensed something unusual, something beyond courage, something that hinted at resilience, adaptability, and strength of character. Many of the humans she had read about in galactic records were interesting, certainly, but few could match the cunning of the older species she had ruled alongside. Yet Alex seemed different. "Very well, human," Lyra said. "You will have an audience with my council. But know this, every word you speak will be judged. Every action observed. Fail them and you may not leave this hall alive." Alex nodded. "I understand." The council chamber was a marvel. It stretched far into the distance, its ceiling high above, studded with what looked like living stars. Alien delegates from countless worlds were present. Their expressions ranged from curiosity to suspicion, their postures tense. Every one of them had come to see the human who dared approach the Queen directly. A session of introductions followed. Delegates spoke in complex tongues with translators ensuring Alex understood each word. They questioned him about humanity's resources, their motives, and their willingness to form alliances. Alex answered with clarity, honesty, and intelligence. He never hesitated. He never flinched. Lyra watched him closely throughout, her violet eyes narrowing now and then as if trying to discern hidden motives. But Alex revealed nothing but respect, courage, and a willingness to understand. For the first time, she felt a spark of curiosity and perhaps admiration. After hours of discussion, the council declared a recess. Most envoys retreated to the side chambers, exhausted by the mental strain of debating with a human. Alex, however, remained calm. Lyra descended from her throne, her presence commanding silence in the chamber. "You have survived the first trials, human," she said, her voice echoing softly. "Most would have faltered under the scrutiny of my council. Most would have shown fear in subtle ways that I would notice immediately. But you have shown skill and courage. Tell me, Alex Harper, what do you seek beyond peace?" Alex met her gaze without hesitation. "I seek understanding. I want to know your people, your planet, and your perspective. I want to prove that humans can be trusted as allies and perhaps as friends." A faint smile touched the Queen's lips. Few had ever spoken to her this way. Few had dared to be so honest and yet so respectful. The energy in the chamber shifted slightly. Uncertainty mingled with intrigue. "You are unlike any being I have encountered in a long time," Lyra said. "You may walk freely here. Observe, speak, and learn. But remember, this palace is a test. Your actions will always be watched, and one wrong move—" "I understand," Alex said calmly. "But I am ready." As the Queen turned to leave, Alex noticed a subtle tension in her posture. Though regal and composed, there was something hidden, a shadow of isolation perhaps, or a quiet burden of responsibility. Most beings would see only the power and majesty, not the weight behind it. Alex made a mental note. He wanted to understand her more. He wanted to see the person behind the legend. Outside the council chamber, the palace was a labyrinth of crystal halls and floating gardens. Alex wandered cautiously but with interest. Guards followed discreetly, observing without interference. Everywhere he looked, the technology and architecture reflected a civilization of incredible intelligence and artistry. Yet for all the beauty, there was also a sense of vigilance, a quiet reminder that power came with responsibility and danger. Later, as he rested in a guest chamber, Alex thought about the Queen. She was not merely a ruler. She was a force of nature, a mind sharpened by centuries of experience, and yet he sensed a spark of something else, curiosity, perhaps even loneliness, something that made her human in a sense in her need to be understood. Alex knew the days ahead would not be easy. Tests and challenges awaited him. Many would try to intimidate him, others to mislead him. But he also knew this: no human had ever faced a being like Queen Lyra before. And if he could earn her trust, if he could prove humanity's worth, the possibilities would be endless, not only for peace but for friendship across species. That night, Alex looked out over the crystal towers and glowing forests of the alien planet. The sky shimmered with unfamiliar constellations. He felt a thrill of anticipation. The first steps had been taken. The Queen had noticed him. The journey ahead would be dangerous, yes, but it would also be extraordinary. And Alex Harper was ready. For the first time, someone dared to approach the alien Queen without fear. And that someone was a human. The next morning, Alex Harper woke early. The alien sun cast long violet shadows across the crystal palace, painting the corridors in light that shimmered like liquid metal. Today, the true test awaited. Queen Lyra had invited him to the central arena, a place where potential allies were measured, not merely by words but by courage, intelligence, and action. As he made his way through the palace, Alex noticed the subtle glances of other delegates. Many had been present yesterday, and most of them had whispered about him behind their hands or shields. Some looked skeptical, others anxious. All of them had assumed humans were fragile, incapable of handling situations that required precision, bravery, and quick thinking. Alex walked steadily, paying them no mind. He knew their assumptions were wrong, and he was determined to prove it. The arena was unlike any battlefield Alex had ever seen. It was a vast circular chamber floating above a chasm of glowing energy. The floor shifted with intricate patterns, and the walls were lined with hovering platforms where observers could watch from a safe distance. At the center of the arena stood a series of challenges: mechanical devices, energy fields, and strange alien constructs designed to test every skill a visitor could possess. Queen Lyra entered silently, her presence commanding attention. Her violet eyes scanned the arena, and then they settled on Alex. A murmur ran through the spectators. Every eye was on him. The queen raised her hand slightly, and the arena fell into perfect silence. "Human," she said, her voice calm but carrying the weight of authority. "Today you will face the trials of courage. You will navigate the challenges before you, demonstrating not only skill but judgment. The arena tests more than strength. It tests character. Fail and you leave with nothing. Succeed, and you earn not only respect but the opportunity to stand closer to me than any other being has dared." Alex nodded. "I am ready, Your Majesty," he said, keeping his tone respectful yet confident. The first trial was a test of agility and perception. Panels in the floor lit up in random sequences, and Alex had to step only on the correct ones to avoid triggering energy fields that would knock him off balance. The other delegates had faltered immediately in preliminary trials, failing to move with the required speed and precision. Alex focused, reading the patterns carefully. His boots barely made a sound as he moved across the floor, timing each step perfectly. The energy fields pulsed dangerously close, yet he never hesitated. When he reached the other side, the queen's eyes narrowed, not in anger but in surprise. "Impressive," she said softly. The second trial tested problem-solving under pressure. A massive holographic puzzle appeared, a maze that shifted constantly. Delegates were expected to navigate it mentally and physically, finding the correct path while avoiding traps that could trigger alarms or lock doors indefinitely. Others froze, their minds overwhelmed by the complexity. Alex studied the patterns, noticing subtle hints the holographic maze provided. He moved with patience, then sudden bursts of action, and reached the exit with a combination of strategy and intuition. Once again, whispers ran through the court. By now, Alex had caught the attention of the queen herself. She moved slightly closer, her posture alert. The trial so far had been designed to filter out arrogance and carelessness. Many had assumed humans would fail immediately. Alex had not only survived, he had excelled. The third trial was perhaps the most challenging. Queen Lyra herself initiated it, a test of judgment in a life-and-death scenario. A simulated attack erupted in the arena. Holographic enemies advanced, some armed with energy weapons, others with traps designed to exploit hesitation. The challenge was simple in description: protect the innocent while neutralizing threats. Delegates hesitated, calculating risks, weighing options. Most faltered, trying to find perfect solutions. Alex acted immediately. Using quick thinking and careful observation, he maneuvered through the simulated enemies, neutralizing dangers without unnecessary force. He noticed the holographic civilians at the edges of the arena and guided them to safety. At one point, he had to leap across a collapsing platform, timing his jump precisely. He landed, rolled, and continued forward without slowing. Every movement was deliberate, every decision calculated but instinctive. The queen observed closely, her lips barely moving. For centuries, no one had impressed her with such poise under extreme stress. She had faced countless beings who claimed bravery, only to falter at the first challenge. Alex Harper was different. As the final stage of the trial approached, the queen made a subtle but deliberate move, one that no one in the arena could have anticipated. A platform beneath her throne began to shift, tilting dangerously over the glowing chasm. It was a trap, not meant to harm her truly, but to see if anyone would intervene. Delegates froze, unsure if they could act. Protocol dictated they should not interfere, that touching the queen could be fatal or deeply dishonorable. Alex hesitated only for a fraction of a second, then stepped forward. Without a word, he reached out, placing a hand lightly on the queen to steady her. The court gasped. No one had ever dared physical contact. Not one being, no matter how skilled, had risked it. Alex's calm, confident action, motivated not by disrespect but by protection, defied centuries of fear and tradition. Lyra's violet eyes widened for the first time. She had expected hesitation, calculation, fear, but not this. A spark of something unusual crossed her face, curiosity, surprise, perhaps even admiration. "Interesting," she said softly, almost to herself. "Very interesting." The final stage of the trial was an assessment of diplomacy and negotiation. Holographic leaders appeared, representing various alien civilizations. Conflicts flared, and Alex had to navigate them without violence, resolving disputes quickly and fairly. His approach was simple: listen carefully, understand the needs of each party, and find solutions that benefited all. While others argued or tried to dominate, Alex spoke with clarity and empathy. He demonstrated that humans were not only capable of bravery and intelligence, but also possessed a unique ability to unite and inspire. By the time the trial ended, he had resolved every conflict, neutralized every threat, and completed every challenge successfully. The Queen rose from her throne. The court fell silent. Every delegate, every guard, every observer waited for her judgment. She approached Alex slowly, her eyes fixed on him. "You have done what no other being has done," she said. Her voice was calm, but the weight behind it was immense. "You have faced the trials of courage without hesitation. You have acted with skill, judgment, and, dare I say, compassion. You have touched me when others would not. Not out of arrogance, but out of necessity and care. You have earned my attention, human." Alex bowed his head slightly. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I only acted as anyone would, to protect life and ensure peace." Lyra studied him for a long moment. Then she spoke again, a faint smile playing at her lips. "You see the world differently than others, Alex Harper. Most beings are limited by fear or pride. You are not. There is much I wish to understand about your people, and much I wish you to understand about mine. Perhaps this is the beginning of something neither of us expected." The court murmured again. Aliens exchanged cautious glances. For centuries, none had dared to challenge tradition, to act with courage and honor in such a bold manner. A human had done it. And not just done it, he had succeeded. As the spectators dispersed, Alex remained for a moment in the arena. He looked at Queen Lyra, who returned his gaze steadily. There was an unspoken understanding between them now, a recognition of mutual respect. Alex felt the weight of history, realizing that his actions today had broken barriers not through force, but through courage, intelligence, and integrity. Later, as he returned to his quarters, Alex reflected on the trials. Each challenge had tested a different aspect of character: agility, intelligence, judgment, and courage. He had faced them all and emerged successful. But more importantly, he had shown something no one else could: that humans were capable of extraordinary deeds when fear was set aside, when action was guided by honor and care. That night, Alex gazed out over the glowing forests of the alien planet. The stars above were unfamiliar yet beautiful, stretching across the sky like a tapestry. He knew the journey was only beginning. Challenges, tests, and perhaps dangers awaited still, but one thing was certain: he had earned the attention of the alien queen. And in a galaxy filled with fear and hesitation, that was no small achievement. For the first time, someone dared to approach Queen Lyra not just with courage, but with understanding, and that someone was a human. The morning sun of the alien planet streamed through the crystal towers, casting long prismatic shadows across the palace courtyard. Captain Alex Harper walked alongside Queen Lyra, his movements measured yet relaxed. Today he would be given the rare chance to explore the inner chambers of the palace, areas reserved for the queen and her closest advisors. Few outsiders ever set foot there. Fewer still earned the right to move freely without constant supervision. Lyra's violet eyes scanned him as they moved. "You have proven yourself in the arena," she said, her tone neutral yet carrying a trace of curiosity. "Most beings who survive the trials of courage do so by skill alone. Few show judgment and compassion under pressure. You are different." Alex glanced at her, keeping his voice calm. "I do not seek to impress, Your Majesty. I only act as I believe is right." She studied him for a long moment, as if weighing his words. Finally, she spoke. "Then perhaps you can understand what most cannot. Follow me and see the heart of my world." The first chamber they entered was vast, with walls of black crystal that absorbed light. Shelves carved into the walls held ancient artifacts, maps of distant galaxies, and holographic displays of past conflicts and treaties. Lyra moved to a display that showed an intricate map of star systems, some with blinking lights indicating colonies, others with warning symbols marking dangerous zones. "Every choice I make affects countless lives," she said quietly. "Allies, enemies, and innocents alike. I am responsible for maintaining balance, or chaos will spread." Alex nodded, studying the map carefully. "That is a heavy burden," he said. It is easy to act boldly when stakes are small. But when the lives of millions hang in the balance, courage alone is not enough. Strategy, judgment, and empathy are required. Lyra's eyes softened slightly. You understand more than I expected. Most beings see only the surface, power, majesty, fear. They do not see the weight that lies beneath. They walked further into the chamber, where the air shimmered with holographic records of past negotiations and conflicts. Alex observed carefully. Each record showed the Queen making difficult choices, sometimes sacrificing the desires of one group to save another. He realized that her reputation for ruthlessness was only part of the story. Beneath it was a ruler who bore her responsibilities with relentless care, even if others could not see it. You judge me fairly, Lyra said softly, as if acknowledging a rare truth. Most outsiders see only fear and authority. You see responsibility and perhaps even loneliness. Alex hesitated for a moment, then spoke honestly. Even the strongest leaders are human, or in your case, alive in their own way. Isolation comes with power. Only those who understand this burden can truly lead. Lyra tilted her head slightly, intrigued. You speak wisely for one who has not carried such power for centuries. Tell me, Alex Harper, do you fear me now? Alex shook his head. No, Your Majesty. I respect you certainly, but fear is not the path to understanding or alliance. I seek knowledge and cooperation, not dominance. A faint smile touched the Queen's lips. Few can say that truthfully. Most see only the danger in me, not the person. Perhaps this is why I allowed you into the inner chambers, to see if your courage is matched by wisdom. For hours, they explored the palace together. Alex saw private gardens where strange luminescent plants grew, feeding on the energy of the sun and the crystals beneath the soil. He saw laboratories where Lyra's advisors studied alien technology, seeking ways to advance their civilization without causing harm. He saw archives filled with the records of centuries, wars avoided, conflicts resolved, and mistakes made. At one point, they paused in a high balcony overlooking a cascading waterfall of light. The Queen stood silently, gazing at the flowing colors while Alex observed the patterns. The energy was beautiful and dangerous at the same time, a reminder of how power could both create and destroy. You understand patterns, Lyra said after a moment, not just in battle or diplomacy, but in life itself. That is rare, Alex replied. Patterns exist everywhere. The challenge is to recognize them before they become threats, to see cause and effect and act responsibly. Lyra's eyes lingered on him. You are not like others. Most humans I have encountered are impulsive, reckless, or self-serving. You think before you act. You observe. You learn. That is unusual. Their conversation was interrupted by a sudden alarm. A high-pitched resonance echoed through the chambers and guards rushed past them. Lyra's eyes narrowed. A disturbance in the outer sectors, she said. Something moves that should not. Remain close, human. Alex followed without hesitation. As they approached the situation, a fleet of alien vessels was visible through the palace's energy shield. They were not hostile yet, but their presence was unauthorized and suspicious. Delegates from neighboring systems had sent scouts, likely to test the Queen's defenses or to gauge her strength. Lyra's expression hardened. Most would panic or order immediate destruction. That is expected of those who fear weakness. But you observe and think. Do you see what I see? Alex studied the ships carefully. They are scanning, not attacking. They seek information, perhaps testing your defenses or intentions. Direct confrontation is unnecessary yet. Negotiation or demonstration of strength may be more effective. Lyra considered this. Interesting. You advise caution and clarity, not aggression. Few would counsel patience at such a moment. Most would act out of fear. Together they prepared to respond. Using holographic controls, Lyra displayed the fleet's movements and broadcasted a message. Alex suggested adjustments to the tone and content, emphasizing clarity and authority without provocation. The alien vessels hesitated, then altered their course, respecting the presence of both the Queen and the human who accompanied her. The court returned shortly after the threat had passed. Delegates murmured about the human who had advised the Queen in such a tense moment. Whispers spread, he is brave and wise. Some were skeptical, but all were curious. Alex had demonstrated that courage alone was not the measure of a being. Intelligence, observation, and judgment mattered just as much. As the day ended, Lyra led Alex to a secluded chamber overlooking the night sky. Stars shone brilliantly, unfamiliar constellations forming patterns Alex had never seen. He felt a sense of calm but also anticipation. "You have seen my world," Lyra said quietly. "You have observed its strengths and vulnerabilities. You have acted when others hesitated. Few beings would survive what you have endured, much less earn my respect." Alex bowed his head slightly. "I only act as I believe is right. Understanding and courage guide me, not desire for recognition." The Queen's eyes softened, and for the first time, Alex thought he glimpsed something human in her. A longing for connection, perhaps, or a desire for trust. "You may stay close to me now, human," she said. "Not as a subject nor merely as an envoy, but as someone whose judgment I can rely upon. There is more to learn, Alex Harper, and there is more at stake than you yet know." Alex nodded. "I am ready for whatever comes, Your Majesty." That night, as he looked out over the glowing forests and crystal spires, Alex realized that earning the Queen's trust was only the beginning. The palace, the court, and the galaxy itself held challenges far beyond simple diplomacy or combat. But he also knew that humans possessed qualities the galaxy often underestimated: courage, intelligence, and the ability to act when others hesitated. And for the first time, he sensed that Queen Lyra saw not just a human before her, but a being capable of partnership, insight, and perhaps something more. The seeds of respect and maybe even friendship had been planted. The trials of courage were over, but the trials of understanding were just beginning. Alex Harper had entered a world of power, mystery, and danger. He had faced challenges that no other human had faced, and in doing so, he had earned a place alongside the alien queen, not by fear or force, but by courage, intelligence, and unwavering integrity. The journey ahead would test him further. Alliances would be fragile, threats would emerge, and the Queen, for all her strength, had burdens he had yet to fully understand. But one thing was certain: humanity had shown its worth, and Alex Harper was at the center of a story that could change the galaxy. For the first time, a human had not only survived the trials, but had begun to understand the heart of the alien queen. The palace was quiet that morning, yet a subtle tension lingered in the air. Word had spread through the alien factions that a human had earned the trust of Queen Lyra. Many were curious, some jealous, and a few openly suspicious. Among them was General Korath, a powerful commander who had long believed that humans were weak, impulsive, and unworthy of proximity to the Queen. His pride was wounded and his ambition burned. Alex Harper, unaware of the full depth of the brewing unrest, was preparing for a meeting with the Queen. He had learned much about her world, her people, and her responsibilities. He understood that leadership required more than power. It required empathy, foresight, and the courage to act when others hesitated. Today, however, he would witness that courage in a different way, a test not of skill or judgment, but of loyalty and instinct. Lyra entered the chamber where Alex waited, her violet eyes sharp and calculating. "Reports have reached me," she said, "that certain factions are unhappy with recent events. They question my judgment and seek to challenge my authority. You may have earned respect from me, Alex Harper, but the galaxy is still uncertain." Alex nodded. "Then we must be prepared. Respect is won through action, not words, and it seems some will test us." The palace alert sounded shortly after, a resonant pulse echoing through the corridors. Holographic screens lit up, showing multiple alien ships approaching from the outer sectors. The fleet was larger than any scout or delegation. It was an organized assault. General Korath had moved against the Queen, aiming to seize power. Lyra's expression hardened. "They are bold, but they underestimate me, and perhaps underestimate you as well." Alex's gaze sharpened. "Then we must act quickly. Strategy, not panic." The Queen and Alex moved to the war chamber, a circular room filled with holographic maps, starship schematics, and real-time projections of the approaching fleet. Lyra issued commands with precision, her mind calculating multiple scenarios simultaneously, yet she welcomed Alex's input, knowing that his perspective was unique. "These ships will attempt to breach our defenses here," she said. "Most of their leaders are experienced in combat. They will seek to intimidate, confuse, and overwhelm. Your role is critical, human. I trust your judgment." Alex studied the fleet carefully. "They are organized but not unified. If we can disrupt their command and demonstrate that their plan is failing, their cohesion will collapse. We must protect civilians and key positions first." then neutralize the leadership without unnecessary risk. Lyra nodded. Agreed, execute your plan. The battle began in earnest. Energy weapons lit the skies, and the palace's shields glowed under sustained fire. Holographic projections guided Alex as he coordinated defensive measures, issuing instructions to both human and alien forces. He observed enemy patterns, predicted movements, and advised the Queen on key points of intervention. At one critical moment, an enemy vessel broke through the outer shield, heading directly toward the palace's central tower. The automated defenses were slow to respond, and hesitation could have been catastrophic. Without a second thought, Alex activated a contingency sequence, directing a combination of energy fields and countermeasures. The vessel was neutralized before it could breach the tower, its crew forced to retreat. The court and observers watched in stunned silence. Few had expected a human to act with such precision under pressure. For centuries, aliens had prided themselves on their tactical superiority. Yet here stood one who challenged assumptions, who demonstrated that courage and intellect were not limited by species. Amid the chaos, General Korath attempted a bold move. He led a strike team directly toward the Queen's throne room, seeking to capture her and assert dominance. Guards intercepted them, but the general was skilled and relentless. Lyra realized that even the palace's defenses could not stop him alone. "Alex," she said urgently, "this is your moment. Protect me. Prevent him from reaching the inner chambers." Alex's response was instant. He sprinted toward the throne room, analyzing the pathways and calculating the fastest approach. Using both agility and strategy, he positioned himself to intercept the general's strike team. With precise movements, he neutralized attackers without lethal force, disarming and disabling them while shielding innocent personnel. Finally, he confronted General Korath directly. The general towered over him, weapons drawn, eyes blazing with fury. "You dare touch the Queen?" Korath demanded. "You are nothing but a human, fragile, unworthy." Alex met his gaze steadily. "I am enough to protect her, not because I am stronger, but because I act when others hesitate. Courage is not measured by size or species, it is measured by resolve." Korath lunged, but Alex anticipated every move, sidestepping and using the general's momentum against him. With a deft maneuver, he forced Korath to the ground, securing the weapon and rendering the threat neutralized. Guards quickly moved in to take the defeated general into custody. The Queen watched silently, her violet eyes wide with respect. For centuries, no one had dared challenge Korath and succeed, not with words, not with strength, and certainly not with intelligence combined with courage. Alex Harper had done all three. When the battle finally ended, the palace was intact, the civilian areas unharmed, and the invading forces scattered. Lyra turned to Alex. "You have acted decisively, human. You have protected not only me but my people. Your courage and judgment have proven that humans are capable of greatness in ways many fail to understand." Alex shook his head slightly, humbly. "I did what any person should do when faced with danger. Protect life, act with clarity, and ensure the innocent are safe. Fear is the easiest choice. Action is harder but necessary." A faint smile appeared on Lyra's face, almost imperceptible. "You have earned more than respect today. You have earned trust. Not only my trust, but that of my people. For the first time, perhaps, a human has shown that our assumptions about your species are incomplete." The court whispered among themselves. Delegates and advisors who had doubted him now regarded Alex with cautious admiration. The human who had walked unafraid into the Queen's presence, survived the trials of courage, and now defended the palace against a rebellion, had proven himself extraordinary. As evening fell, the palace returned to a semblance of calm. Energy shields still shimmered with residual power, and the glow of the city outside reflected in the crystal halls. Lyra led Alex to a quiet chamber overlooking the forests, their silver leaves swaying gently in the alien wind. "You have seen what others could not," she said softly. "You have acted when others hesitated, and yet there is more to the galaxy than these walls, more to the threats that will come. I sense your presence may change the way others view humans, not just here, but across the stars." Alex looked at her, thoughtful. "Humans are underestimated often, but courage, intelligence, and honor do not belong to one species alone. They are universal qualities. If we act wisely, we can prove that cooperation is stronger than fear, and trust is stronger than suspicion." Lyra nodded. "Perhaps you are right. Perhaps you are the beginning of something the galaxy has not seen in centuries. That night, Alex reflected on the day's events. The rebellion had been halted, but it was only a reminder that the galaxy was filled with ambition, jealousy, and challenges. Yet he also knew that humanity had qualities that could rise to meet them. Courage, intelligence, and the willingness to act when others hesitated. And more than that, he understood Queen Lyra, not merely as a ruler, but as a being carrying centuries of responsibility, isolation, and wisdom. He had seen her strength, but he had also glimpsed the burden behind her authority. Few would ever truly see her as he did, and even fewer could act decisively to protect her without fear. As the stars shone brightly over the alien forests, Alex felt a sense of purpose. He had earned the Queen's trust and respect, but the galaxy still held unknown dangers. Alliances would be tested, and challenges would arise that could change the balance of power. Yet he was ready. For the first time, a human had shown that courage, intelligence, and integrity could influence not only a queen, but the future of a civilization. The battle had ended, but the story was far from over. And for the first time, humanity was no longer merely a distant, fragile species in the eyes of the galaxy. Through the actions of one human, Captain Alex Harper, the impossible had been achieved. The alien queen had been protected, a rebellion quelled, and respect earned. The morning after the rebellion had been quelled, the palace was alive with activity. Delegates from neighboring worlds arrived to observe the outcome, some curious, others skeptical. Word had spread quickly. A human had not only survived the trials of courage, but had also protected the queen and the palace from a direct threat. The galaxy had taken notice. Alex Harper walked through the crystal halls alongside Queen Lyra. Her violet eyes were calm, yet they held a rare warmth. The queen's expression was unreadable to most, but Alex had grown attuned to the subtle shifts in her gaze, the tiny hints of thought and emotion that revealed more than words ever could. "You have done well, Alex," she said softly. "The events of yesterday will be remembered. Not just your courage, but your judgment and care. Few beings of any species would have acted as you did." Alex shook his head. "I only acted as I believed was right. Courage without thought or action without care is meaningless. I only wanted to protect you and those who could not defend themselves." Lyra studied him for a moment, then inclined her head. "That is why you are different. Most humans I have encountered react with fear, hesitation, or arrogance. You act with clarity, wisdom, and courage. Perhaps this is why I have allowed you to come so close." The palace doors opened, revealing the council chamber. Delegates from dozens of civilizations had gathered. Many were still wary of humans. Some whispered to each other, unsure how to regard a species that had long been underestimated across the galaxy. But the Queen's presence was commanding, and her gaze fell upon Alex as she began to speak. "Representatives of the council," Lyra said, her voice carrying authority and calm. "Yesterday the palace faced a challenge from within. A rebellion sought to disrupt peace, to test loyalty, and to assert dominance. The threat was neutralized not only by my guards but by an unexpected ally, a human, Captain Alex Harper." A murmur ran through the room. Delegates exchanged surprised glances. Humans were rarely involved in galactic affairs beyond their immediate systems, and none had ever acted so decisively in a crisis of this magnitude. Lyra continued, her gaze steady. "Captain Harper acted with courage, judgment, and care. He prevented harm to the innocent, protected this palace, and ensured that the rebellion was ended without unnecessary bloodshed. His actions demonstrate that humans are capable of far more than many have believed. They possess courage, intelligence, and integrity." The council fell silent. Many of the delegates who had doubted humans now regarded Alex with new eyes. Some nodded in acknowledgement. Others studied him carefully, realizing that the galaxy's understanding of humanity might need to change. Alex stepped forward slightly, bowing his head in respect. "Your Majesty, representatives," he said, his voice steady. "I did not act for recognition or reward. I acted because it was the right thing to do. If humanity is to be part of galactic affairs, it must be through honesty, cooperation, and action guided by principle. Courage alone is not enough." Lyra's eyes softened and a faint smile touched her lips. "Wise words, human. You speak as if centuries of experience are behind you, though I know they are not. Yet your insight, your courage, and your actions have earned something few outsiders ever achieve: my trust and respect." The council whispered among themselves. For centuries, aliens had viewed humans as fragile, inexperienced, and unpredictable. Now, before their very eyes, a human had demonstrated qualities that could not be ignored: bravery, intelligence, and a capacity for action when others hesitated. As the council meeting continued, Alex assisted the Queen in detailing plans for galactic alliances. Together, they outlined strategies to maintain peace and ensure cooperation between species. His perspective offered clarity and creativity, seeing possibilities that many seasoned alien delegates had overlooked. Every suggestion he made was considered carefully, and many were adopted immediately. After the council dispersed, Lyra led Alex to a secluded terrace overlooking the alien forests. The silver leaves glowed softly in the light of the alien sun, and distant crystal towers shimmered like beacons. For the first time, she spoke of something personal, something that revealed her own burden. "Humans often underestimate the weight of leadership," she said quietly. "Centuries of power, responsibility, and isolation. It shapes you. Many do not see the loneliness behind the throne, the constant vigilance, the difficult choices that must be made." Alex listened carefully. "I do not underestimate it, Your Majesty. Leadership is not just authority. It is accountability, responsibility, and the courage to act even when others cannot. Isolation is heavy, but it does not diminish the value of action or understanding." Lyra's eyes lingered on him. "Few can understand this so clearly. Few would act decisively to protect me without fear or hesitation. Most would calculate, wait, or falter. You do not," Alex replied simply, "because fear is temporary. Action guided by principle lasts." The Queen studied him for a long moment. "Perhaps this is why humanity has a place in the galaxy. Not because humans are strongest or fastest or most numerous, but because you act with clarity, courage, and integrity when it matters most." For a moment, the alien queen allowed herself a rare moment of openness. She spoke of the challenges she had faced, the alliances she had built, the threats she had endured. Alex listened, understanding that her strength came not from fear or dominance, but from responsibility and care for her people. He also understood that his own role had changed. He was no longer merely an envoy or a guest. He was a partner in understanding, a bridge between civilizations. Days passed and preparations began for a formal recognition ceremony. The Queen had decided to publicly acknowledge Alex's contributions. Delegates from across the galaxy would witness it, a human, once underestimated, now honored for courage, wisdom, and decisive action. When the ceremony began, Alex stood beside Lyra. The council and the delegates filled the chamber, their eyes fixed on the human who had earned extraordinary respect. Lyra spoke first, her voice steady and commanding. "Today, we recognize actions that define the value of a being, not by species, but by courage, intelligence, and integrity. Captain Alex Harper of Earth has demonstrated qualities that few have ever shown. He has faced trials, protected life, and acted decisively when others would hesitate. He has earned not only my respect, but the respect of the Council and the galaxy." Delegates rose in acknowledgement. Some nodded, others offered formal greetings. Whispers of admiration and surprise rippled through the chamber. Humanity's reputation had changed in an instant. Alex bowed respectfully. "I am honored, Your Majesty," he said, "but I stand here not for myself alone. I represent humans, a species capable of courage, intelligence, and cooperation. Our actions today set a precedent. Fear is not the measure of worth. Action guided by principle is." Lyra's violet eyes met his, and for the first time a genuine smile appeared on her face. "You speak as humans do, with clarity and purpose, and you have shown that deeds define respect more than words ever could. The galaxy has seen what I have always known. Humans are extraordinary." The ceremony ended with applause, formal acknowledgments, and celebrations throughout the palace. Delegates approached Alex, some to offer alliance, others to learn from him, and a few simply to witness the human who had changed perceptions across worlds. Later, as the celebrations quieted and the palace returned to normal, Alex and Lyra walked through the floating gardens. The air was filled with the gentle hum of energy from the glowing plants. "You have done more than survive, Alex Harper," Lyra said softly. "You have changed the way the galaxy sees your people." "That is no small feat," Alex smiled faintly. "I only acted as I must. Humanity can offer courage, intelligence, and honor. If others recognize that, it will change the galaxy for the better." Lyra's eyes lingered on him. "It already has. And perhaps You have changed something in me as well. I see now that trust and courage can come from unexpected places. Perhaps the galaxy is ready for a new era, one in which humans are no longer underestimated. Alex nodded, looking out over the crystal towers and glowing forests. The journey had been long, filled with danger, challenge, and uncertainty. Yet through courage, intelligence, and integrity, he had earned respect and trust beyond what most humans could imagine. The galaxy was watching, and for the first time, humanity's place in it had been recognized, not through conquest or dominance, but through action, principle, and the courage to stand where others would falter. As night fell over the alien world, the stars shone brightly above the crystal towers. Alex Harper knew the journey was far from over. There would be challenges yet, alliances to strengthen, and new threats to face. But for now, humanity had proven its worth, and for the first time, a human had earned the trust, respect, and admiration of the alien queen. A legacy had begun. The galaxy would never underestimate humans again.